So I suggest that we start as the time is already. So dear participants here in Dubrovnik and dear participants online, I would like to welcome you to the Adria Innovation Day 2022. My name is Meta Dobnikar. I'm coming from Geological Survey of Slovenia. And today I will lead you through the program of today's one-day EIT RawMaterials event that aims for strengthening the raw materials network in Adria region by implementing a thematic legacy event of the regional center Adria HUB on the innovation progress in the raw materials field in the past 5 years of the KIC presence in the region. This is an excellent opportunity to observe and overview of past and present HUB Adria activities and several successful EIT raw materials projects conducted in the region to uplift the innovation potential in the region in the field of raw materials. Adria Innovation Day 2022 will highlight the innovation tested, networks created, best practices and lessons learned from the conducted projects in the region. Through a discussion, we will tackle also on the funding and policy and legislation obstacles to provide a path forward for the implementation and commercial application of the developed innovations supported via EIT raw materials. The legacy thematics has been selected as the year of 2022 represents the end of one period of HUB activities after 5 years. And also there is new period of HUB activities oncoming, which has already been in the call. So the call for the new activities has already been published and the new period is in front of us. So today we will first hear to the legacy of the last period. Then we will have panelists to present their successful project and the impact on the region of those projects. And then we will conclude with short conclusion. The discussion, of course, will follow at the end. You will also have the opportunity to ask questions, but we will do that at the end of all presentations. And I would like also to remind you that this event is being recorded. So to start with, I would like to invite Mrs. Urša Šolc from Geological Survey of Slovenia and Dr. Mateja Košir from Slovenian National Building and Civil Engineering Institute to present the Regional Center Adria Legacy. Please, Urša and Mateja, welcome.
Thank you very much, Meta. So, welcome all here present and online. On behalf of the whole Regional Center Adria team from Slovenia and Croatia. This presentation in the next half an hour was presented and prepared by representatives of all 3 founding members of Regional Center Adria from Slovenia and Croatia. First, I want to give you some words on our community, of which Regional Center Adria is a part of. That is, of course, EIT RawMaterials. EIT RawMaterials' vision is actually to develop raw materials into a major strength for Europe. Its mission is to enable sustainable competitiveness of the European minerals, metals, and materials sector along the value chain by driving innovation, education, and entrepreneurship. The main pillars of our activities are focused towards securing raw materials supply with collaboration across the entire industrial value chain, to designing solutions for materials innovation, products and processes, and closing material loops with a radical shift from linear to circular thinking in all sectors of our society. EIT raw materials innovation themes, to stress them, are focused towards exploration and raw materials resources assessment, mining in challenging environments, increase resource efficiency in mineral and metallurgical processes, recycling and material chain optimization for end-of-life products, substitution of critical and toxic materials in products for optimum performance, and design of products and services for the circular economy. Three main pillars of our activities are focused towards matchmaking and networking activities, acceleration activities. Here I would like to emphasize the upscaling innovation projects, which our partners are implementing. Then the programs focused towards startup ecosystem, that is Startup Booster and RM Accelerator, and EIT Raw Materials Academy activities that are labeled Master Education and PhD Education programs, then lifelong professional education and wider society learning programs. All these activities have also their horizontal emphasis, and these are called our lighthouses programs, then cross-kick activities, and also regional innovation scheme projects, which are part of the regional Adria activities are a part of. EIT Raw Materials as a network is the world's largest community in the raw materials sector. It covers the entire raw materials value chain with more than 300 renowned partners from more than 22 countries. The organizational part is organized from 16 locations across Europe, with headquarters in Berlin, in Germany, and with regional centers and so regional innovation scheme hubs in different parts of RIS-eligible countries. One of these RIS hubs is actually Regional Center Adria, covering the area from Slovenia and Croatia, and also outreaching to Western Balkan countries. This area was our focus in our activities since our establishment in 2018 and until this year. So to start with a short presentation of the partnership. So the founding members of our regional center Adria are Geological Survey of Slovenia, Slovenian National Building and Civil Engineering Institute, and the Faculty of Mining, Geology and Petroleum Engineering at University of Zagreb. And as I said, we are focused towards, our activities are implemented mostly in Slovenia and Croatia, and also outreaching to the wider Western Balkan area. This is actually, these are actually the representatives of the core team. So from all three institutions. Most of the the people in the pictures you will be seeing today also up on stage. And of course, I hope that rest of core team members are here with us online. So waving to you from Dubrovnik. In short, our timeline, or what we did in last 4 years since 2008 and 18. First, of course, we more or less focused on the establishment of our regional center hub. We started with activities slowly with January of 2018 and implementing quite some activities in the area, so mostly in Slovenia and Croatia. In the first year, focused mainly on Slovenia and Croatia, as I said. Then in 2019, we started to grow our network. We first implemented, organized Adria Innovation Day, at that time a live event in Portorož. Most of you were also present at that event. We started also with the Adria internship pilot program and started cooperating with the Junior Achievement Slovenia, Zavod za spodbujanje podjetnosti mladih. We started that collaboration with implementing Skills for the Future program. Then in 2020, we coped with a situation called COVID-19. We made a resilience plan, of course, adapted to the mitigations and prepared mitigations measures, and of course switched to our activities completely to the online mode. Then in 2021, we can say that we made quite a lot of progress with implementing some interesting activities like Adriaton, Hackathon on Industrial Symbiosis, and we performed a detailed stakeholder mapping in all the countries involved in our region. Now in 2022, we say we are already in a quite developed stage, but of course we are facing new challenges. So we decided to implement one interesting event called Funding Synergy Forum, which was focused, or we started the discussion towards how to achieve financial sustainability and started to think what would be our future activities. So our main task or our main activities are we are actually an interface between EIT RawMaterials community and local RIS knowledge triangle in the countries involved. And with and to all these stakeholders, we are trying to offer information about EIT RawMaterials funding opportunities. We organize networking events. We try to identify new potential business partners, project ideas, and business support to stakeholders from our region. These are our main groups of activities. So matchmaking and networking activities. Through this, we are creating a stakeholders network and building it even stronger. Then the second are learning and education activities. So these are activities to support innovation in raw materials sector. Then business creation and support activities. We perform workshops and presentations of EIT RawMaterials established programs. And the fourth group of activities, we are calling them cross-kick activities and RIS hub meetings. So this is a place where we collaborate and exchange best practices with the partners and hubs outside of our area. So what was achieved in this period? So in the last 4 years. Here are some statistics. We draw them from our many activities. And these are our KPIs, key performance indicators we are trying to follow and actually catch all the numbers we try to achieve. So we were really successful in attracting participants at wider society events. In all these years, we attracted more than 1,500 participants at these events. Through these events, mostly with the focus to matchmaking, we managed to generate 16 matches with 200 participants at such events. We attracted 76 students to our info days. Many of them also decided to join some educational programs, labeled or also not labeled ones. We performed almost 50 external presentations at different events with in cooperation with other organizations. We organized 13 events. We managed to achieve more than 50 appearances in digital media and published 16 articles. During the 4 years, the division of the achieved KPIs is animated in this graph. And from from this graph, you can see quite important impact of well, the strong fall in participants' attendance at our events. So it's obvious the reason, the consequence of COVID pandemic. We of course try to mitigate that with online events, but as you know, in 2020, not so many things were possible, but we tried to achieve as much as possible. So in these years, we established, let's say, a constant cooperation with some of the magazines, mostly expert magazines, where we try to convey the message and the activities of EIT RawMaterials and Regional Center Adria activities. And we managed to publish some interesting papers and papers in there. If we look at the numbers, how we build the network with the stakeholder mapping activity, we identified almost 800 stakeholders in all our countries, in all the region, but of course with different level of coverage. Of course, the coverage in Slovenia and Croatia is the strongest. Then in Bosnia and Herzegovina, Montenegro, Serbia, and North Macedonia, the coverage or the attraction of the partners from these countries is a little bit lower. And from Albania, the list. But if we look at our activities to attract stakeholders through our different events, we see that the result of our activities is seen or is reflected in the growing of KIK partnership. From Slovenia, at the start of our activities, basically just 3 partners, just 2 partners were members of the partnership, that are ZAC and GOZS. But now we see that this year in 2020, a lot of partners are participating. So I would say that definitely this is the strong impact of our activities in the region, in Slovenia. Then in Croatia, at the beginning, just the University of Zagreb was a partner in the community. Now, in 2022, 3 partners are active in community. Then if you look at Bosnia and Herzegovina, with non-partners active at the beginning of our activities, nowadays 3. And Serbia with non-partners, and in 2022, 2 active partners. Albania, Montenegro, and North Macedonia are, on the other hand, represented in our activity, in KIC activities as a task partners. So many of the institutions started to cooperate, to get the knowledge, to start activities within the project as task partners, and then later grow into project partners and also the full partners of the community. In the last 3 years, this is the statistics from 2019 until this year, total funds acquired for projects running, implemented or being implemented this year in Adria countries is more than 9.5 million euros. And I would like to say that this is quite an achievement. We don't have the exact statistic what was before that, but this number is self-explanatory, I would say. And here I would give the word to Mateja to continue with the presentation of different activities implemented in these years on different topics. Mateja, here is the microphone.
Thank you very much, Ursha. And warm welcome to all present here in Dubrovnik from my side as well. And warm welcome to all who are not sadly present with us physically, but you are online. So as Ursha said, I will go through the activities which we performed briefly in pictures and also in the context. And as we are today at the Adria Innovation Day, this is our highlighted and one of the most important events which we held each year starting from 2019. And 2019 edition was the first event in the series where we tried to merge and connect all the stakeholders in the raw materials field in the region and present the best practices existing already here in the raw materials sector from the Western Europe and also in the EASY region. So here you see, this was event in person. We were very, very happy with the outcomes of the event, with the networking. And sadly, in 2020, the pandemic, I think we all know, I will not go more into words here, we needed to switch to the online mode. And this edition, we focused on transferring knowledge again and good practices between companies, research institutions, academia, and idea holders. Additionally, on top of all, we gathered young idea holders and they pitched their innovations. Here on the top, there is a picture of our winner, R Club 1, and Cast Cusi on the second, and third was the acid wound treatment. It was a really nice event again. Even in the online mode, we gathered a lot of participants and attracted a lot of attention by the partners. And then in 2021, in the midst of pandemic still, it was a hybrid event. This time we focused an event to the team, which is quite important for the region, as we indicated and also identified during our years of activities that what is one of the heavy issues for implementing innovations in the raw materials field in the region is the social license to operate. And here we gathered the people who are focusing their research and activities and good practices on the social license to operate from the mining sector and also from the raw material sector broader. Initially, what we needed to say, the social license to operate thematic needs to be really highlighted even more. Even with this event, we tried to put it on a higher level, and I think we were quite successful. And the message went broader into the raw materials community. So Adria Innovation Day, going forward with the matchmaking and networking events. Here I'm highlighting the Funding Synergy Forum. This was the event which was organized first time this year. Why Funding Synergy Forum? It's of crucial importance as innovations through their progress, even in the raw materials field, they need a quite high amount of funding. And to make an innovation, let's say, into a higher tier levels, you need to seek always the funding synergies among several programs. So the Funding Synergy Forum, we discussed and we held an open space, open discussion, and also presented some cases from the region on their passage towards, let's say, from TRL1 to TRL8, from most of the cases, how they managed through the several funding schemes and how they navigated. And what was the most important message is that the funding synergies are crucial. We also gathered a lot of, let's say, policymakers, decision makers, which heard our message. And I think that's the most important, and we are continuing our efforts in that sense to the best effort for the innovation in the raw materials field progressing on the higher tier levels. The second thing, which is very important, and let's say, which we concluded from the Funding Synergy Forum, is as well that the mechanisms and implementation of, let's say, funding schemes, even if they are from different sources, should be managed in each country centrally and governed, let's say, on tier levels from TRL1 to TRL9 by one administrative focus point. And the third event in the series of matchmaking and networking events, here you can see some very nice pictures when we still had is physical events in 2018 and 2019. And this is one of the, let's say, events which we had almost each year, is the industrial symbiosis. I will not go in detail here. Here we gathered and matched the industrial partners. Each year it was very successful, good discussions among several branches of industry to exchange their secondary waste material and to implement, let's say, to close the loop for some waste material for some unimportant resource. We gathered more than 200 stakeholders. It was a really nice series of events we organized in Ljubljana and in Zagreb, and also in the online mode, which was a particular, let's say, challenging, but in the end, it's very important to get the field and the industry in the same place to discuss and see the opportunities for their collaboration. What was one of the, let's say, the second pillar mentioned before is the business creation and support. We called it the Adria Raw Materials Incubator. We held several lectures for the, let's say, on the entrepreneurial thematics, training students and professionals on the entrepreneurial, let's say, yeah, on the entrepreneurship and what is crucial to be successful in the idea placement on the market and commercializing, funding a startup, etc. And also to join other mechanisms of EIT Raw Materials, such as Jumpstarter, Accelerator, and Booster. There were 2 courses in 2020. Both were online, either hybrid mode. And again, it's an important pillar of our activities as the startup from the raw material sector in the region. They are very rare, and we really want to make this number grow. But this is a long run, and we understand this. That's why efforts were given, and also from the EIT Raw Materials centrally, to support the incubator separately, which collaborated with us and co-organized the workshops with us. What was the highlight of the previous year? I would have to say it was really, really nice event, hackathon. We named it Adriathon. It was held in online mode, sadly, but it was a really, really well-designed hackathon on the finding and developing innovative and efficient solutions for the activation of waste exchange market, run by the Croatian Chamber of Economy. It was really, really, the picture is the winning team, aggregates with no waste idea. Hackathons are a really good activity to connect idea holders, to give them space for more edgy ideas, and at the end to come and have a really nice solution. The final solution was, I think, really, really nice, accepted, and it made a step forward. Learning and education pillar. Here we have to mention, and it will be mentioned again afterwards, the pilot program of Adria internship program, which started in 2019. And during 3 years, it ran until 2021. And in these 3 years, 70 individual internships were completed with total duration of 113 months, involving more than 43 different organizations. That's a really, really good success. And what's crucial, what was also identified prior, that professionals entering the field of workforce needed more skills and more experience. And in the frame of this program, the structured program, they were having the ability to find an internship position and conduct an internship. And after successful 3 years pilot, the Adria internship program developed in the RC internship program, which will be told a bit more afterwards. And in detail, you will hear more. But in any case, check the website and go for the opportunities which are offered there. In the learning and education, additionally, there was some in 2018, Zagreb Adria Students' Day, very nice presentation of the EIT labeled programs towards students. We had many participants in 2000, and this was still in 2018. Students were really interested, and it was observed that some conducted also went for the EIT labeled masters afterwards. And later we also held several successful online workshops to inform them about the master opportunities, which are several under the several EIT labeled masters, and a very, very good, let's say, step forward for our students. And additionally, in the learning and education pillar, we went a bit to a younger age with the Junior Achievements Slovenia, collaborating on entrepreneurial challenges for the high school pupils, and adding a dimension of the raw materials and circular economy, that they get to know the problematics, that they try to solve the issues on their innovative way. The program is very, very nice. Results are very astonishing, and check their website. It's really, really, really interesting program, what actually high school pupils, students can make in a year. Additionally, in the learning and education pillar, we supported the EIT RawMaterials workshops. We hosted the RawMat Academy. I think you're all aware of this workshop, and ERAM TechFlow. This is a workshop which was organized for the technology transfer professionals and researchers. One, let's say, quite a bottleneck in the region is poor knowledge of technology transfer, innovation, and intellectual property management. So this course is for sure an important, and should be, and it will be for sure repeated in next years. Additionally, this year, we held digital competencies workshop and trained the trainer. Both were focused on the university professors. They were well visited and well, let's say, accepted by the professors which attended and the teachers. It was very, let's say, the topics which are needed to be put in the curriculum at the university level. First, on the digital competencies and trends in digitalization in the context of university teaching, and additionally train the trainer on adding entrepreneurial and innovation elements into the courses. Very, very strongly needed in the region, and we are sure that the effects and the implementation of what was learned on these workshops will be seen in the next years. So now I'm coming slowly to an end. Upcoming activities in 2022. We are still having some months until the end of the year. And first event, which is part of the Innovator series, is the Slovenia EIT Open Day Slovenia. This is part of our cross-kick activities. And this will be raw material needs for ensuring the transition to sustainable and smart mobility. Here we are connecting two fields, urban mobility and raw materials, and in identifying key challenges and ensuring higher cooperation between two sectors. So check on our website and join us on 24th of October. And the last one, Uniminds. It's an event, biggest Slovenian online festival for building an innovation community. This year, all the kicks are joining, and we are also there with the raw materials session. So tune on 10th of November from 12 to 14 on the session on raw materials, where we will discuss what is going on in the innovation community in Slovenia, and widely with the, let's say, raw material trends. And thank you for your attention. As I've mentioned, this year is we are on the path towards next steps. We welcome you, and we are very, very grateful that you attended our previous events. Hopefully we will soon see again. And welcome always on our website, where we publish our recent news. Register for our newsletter that we add an additional reminder to your mailbox occasionally. And thank you again. And that's the Adria Hub legacy. Thanks to all, let's say, core hub members. It was really nice journey until now, and I'm sure that more will come.
Thank you, Mateja, and thank you, Ursha, for this really explanatory presentation of the legacy of Regional Center Adria Hub in the past 4 years. We will now continue with our panelists. So I am kindly inviting Professor Ferenc Madaj from University of Miskolc, Professor Nenad Tomasic from University of Zagreb, Dr. Mateja Košir from ZAG, Slovenia National Building and Civil Engineering Institute. Please just come up with me and sit down. And Professor Sibila Borojović-Šoštarić from University of Zagreb. We also have 2 panelists joining us online. Dr. Duška Rokavec from Geological Survey of Slovenia and Professor Ivica Ristović from University of Belgrade. I hope they have already joined us also online. So to start with, hello again. To start with, I would like to invite you to shortly present the impact of your projects into the region. So we will start with Professor Ferenc Madaj from University of Miskolc. Please.
Okay, so this is okay. So hello everybody. Nice to have here in this Adria Innovation Day, and thank you very much for the invitation. I'm Ferenc Madaj. from the University of Miskolc from Hungary, which Hungary is not directly belongs to the Adria HUB, but as a neighboring country, let's say. So I'm representing the University of Miskolc, which is one of the EIT RawMaterials members. And it has happened in the last years that I was leading one education program, which is here you see the Mobius, which was in the 2020-21, and as a legacy program. Now we are working also together with the University of Zagreb in the TeamRex education program, which is aiming to have an EIT label. It was asked to tell something about ourselves. So I'm an associate professor at the University of Miskolc and the head of Institute of Mineralogy and Geology. There we were working together with the in the Rebaux project, also with Nenad, and also with in several programs with Sibylla in other EIT RawMaterials programs. And also, I was for 15 years the deputy dean for academic affairs at our faculty, and from that history, I had an opportunity to learn quite a lot from already existing international programs. And also, on the other hand, I had an experience as a student to learn in an international environment, as was graduated in Moscow in the second part of the 80s as a geologist, and after that, later I had an opportunity to have an LLM degree from Dundee, from the UK. And here it is written that we have participated in several mineral policy-related and also education research projects. And okay, about the Faculty of Earth Science and Engineering, which was my host faculty at the University of Miskolc. In one sentence, this is would like to make education and research for the sustainable natural resources utilization, including raw materials, hard rock mineral resources, petroleum, and hydrocarbons, water. But also it integrates into these questions also the conditions of the environment. So from that point of view, this is really working on the sustainable utilization of these natural resources. About the Mobius, which was the first step, and as it was mentioned before, the TRL level. So it was let's say a lower TRL level of an education program between 4 partner universities cooperating. This is the Zagreb University, Miskolc, and also 2 partners from Poland, the Wrocław Technical University and the AGH University from Krakow. And the major issue was to organize mobility window type of education cooperation between these universities for different fields of the raw material sector. And 3 external partners were also helping us with their experiences. The Aalto University from Helsinki, the TU Wien from Austria, and also the La Palma Research Center. And as a result, we were compiling 13 different mobility pathways within this among these 4 participating universities, and in different fields of the raw materials. sector, and at least for the partners Miskolc, Zagreb, and Wroclaw, this cooperation is continuing in the legacy program, which is already aiming to do a labeled master program. What is the difference between these different kind of mobilities? I have created this three-dimensional chart where in the horizontal axis you can see that how much the mobility, student mobility, is embedded in the training and how much it is mandatory. Required as mandatory for the from the students to have mobility between the academic partners, and which is also important for the EIT also is to have some mandatory or non-mandatory mobility towards non-academic partners. So the simple Erasmus plus mobility, this is when which is in the starting point where it is not mandatory from none of these parameters. On the other hand, a simple joint degree program, which is not an EIT label, but from other fields, this joint degree program, it is needs the mobility is embedded in the program, and it should be mandatory for the students. And the Mobius was something in between, but without non-academic mobility, which was partly embedded in the, or more or less embedded in the program, but it was not mandatory for the students. It depends on the students whether they will join this program or not. And what is the requirement for a labeled program from the EIT? This is that it should be completely embedded, the mobility, the program, and both academic and non-academic type of mobility is also compulsory, and this is quite difficult to fulfill all these requirements. I mentioned that there are these we had compiled these 13 mobility pathways within the Mobius, four for geology and geophysics programs, 3 for geoenvironmental type of between program, and 6 programs are available in cooperation for mining engineers. And the legacy program is the TeamRex. The TeamRex consortium is the same 3 universities from the Mobius, as Zagreb University, RGNF faculty, and Wroclaw and Miskolc, and the 4th partner is the Luleå Technical University from Sweden. And as we are aiming to do a labeled master program, it is important that non-academic partners also will join this consortium. An important partner is the European Federation of Geologists, who are also leading one horizontally made course. There are also some some research institute partners who are leading partners in mineral resources exploration, field development and innovation, and also there are mining companies from the startups to the large mining companies as well. And the objective is to fulfill the label criteria, which requires and also to organize intensive summer field programs or field programs for the students with some intensive field summer courses, and also using the recent internship opportunities to have internship to the students. And we are, of course, the mandatory academic mobility is also embedded between the partners, and this 15 credits non-academic partners participation is also, as you can see here in this list, how this 15 credits is completed. The training structure of the TIMREX is that in the easy region in Miskolc, Zagreb or Wroclaw, the students can start in the first year. Then this field activities are in the summer between the two semesters, and according to the specializations, the students can continue at one of these the four partner universities. On the top of this, there is a so-called exploration entrepreneurship course, which is led by the European Federation of Geologists. This is a horizontal course for all these specializations. And also the student research work as part of the thesis work preparation, and also a social and civic internship is also a mandatory horizontally organized part of the program. What are the impacts, or what are the expected impacts of this TIMREX program? As we are here in the Adria region, this is one of the most important region for mineral exploration and mineral resources development in Europe, as the Balkan. The other, as the Luleå University is also a member. The Scandinavia is also a target region for this, and with Hungarian and Polish members, the Carpathian and four Sudetic regions are also regions where I hope that these students graduated from this program will have their career within these regions as mineral explorers. And also there are some other impacts to have a close connection, an intensive connection with those non-academic partners who are also joined this program as consortium members, offering research activities, offering some thesis topics for the students from this institutes on the top of the mineral exploration field innovation for the mineral exploration. And well, okay, the graduates are expected to as an impact to be entrepreneurs, as service providers in some innovative mineral exploration fields, and also in the longer run some qualified persons, some freelance geological experts. So thank you for listening me for this introduction.
Thank you, Professor Madaj, for this presentation. We will now continue with Professor Nina Tomasic from University of Zagreb. So I kindly ask you to say a few words about you and of the impact of your project to the region. Thank you.
I'm coming from University of Zagreb Faculty of Science. It is really a large faculty, so covering all major natural sciences and mathematics. So geology, which is my department, is really a smallest department, one of the smallest department. However, we try to participate in the programs like the EIT projects, and we are really very happy to be a part of this large community. And RIBOX was one of the projects we already participated. And it was our first project to participate in this big community. So I'll just give a few words on the project in general and a few words about the outcomes of the project. And just to conclude, I will give a few words about the impact we hopefully left to the community and to the region during this project activities. So the project actually was one of the projects in this regional innovation scheme that was run at the time. So to support this innovation community in the region, and it was one of the smallest projects at our department, so roughly just €250,000. But we actually were very enthusiastic to, let's say, envisage some activities, and it was all about rare earth elements, which really showed to be on a great demand in Europe for the industrial and technological purposes. And the problem is in the fact that Europe mainly relies on the imports of this valuable commodity. So actually there is a huge need for some domestic resources for these important metals. So the development in the material science and generally in the investigation of the resources led to the path that we also need to use some already reworked ore materials, and particularly this was related to the red mud that are in huge proportions left after the bauxite processing for alumina production, and it was seen as a possible resource of rare earth elements. And also the idea was here to investigate more into details the possibilities of the Southeast Europe natural and also industrial resources for these metals, and that are all connected to bauxite resources. So we actually made a small consortium of 9 partners from the countries in this southeastern Europe. So from Croatia, Slovenia, Hungary, Montenegro, Austria, and we had also one industrial partner from Germany. And we hoped to, let's say, collect already existing data and collect some new data by going to the field and try to revisit all the known, or at least all major known bauxite occurrences, especially deposits, and also some red mud deposits in the region, which are mostly just left over the previous industrial, let's say, evolution of the area. And unfortunately, we were coping with the fact that the major bauxite producers are mainly in decline in all the countries participating in the project. But however, the idea was just to try with this collecting the data to see some maybe future perspective of these possible production of rare earth elements from these valuable resources. So altogether, we visited 61 bauxite occurrences and deposits, and we collected the samples, analyzed for mineralogy, chemistry, and particularly rare earth element abundances. And also we visited 4 red mud landfills in the region, also by doing some sample collection and later on analysis to see whether there is a potential that was already discovered in some previous project, particularly in Greece. Also during the project, we, besides this general work on collection the data, we did some analysis on the possible technologies that could be applied for the reprocessing of these materials for the production of rare earth elements. And we did some, let's say, analysis about the most plausible technologies that could be applied for the samples we collected. And also we did some life cycle assessment analysis, which of course predicted some costs and environmental impact of the possible reprocessing of these materials, particularly red muds we collected. And the final point of the project, but one of the maybe most important, was to improve or to boost, what is popular to say, the regional innovation capacity on bauxite prospecting, and particularly on the utilization of these red muds for the critical raw materials production. And we organized 2 workshops for the students, particularly master and PhD students. And these 2 workshops were quite successful since we, let's say, managed to gather a quite impressive number of students, not only from the participating countries in the project, but also from the, let's say, wider regions. And we were very happy for doing that. And also we had some final event which was related to the project results. It was a kind of round table. Unfortunately, it was organized online, since the final year of the project activities was 2020, which we know was majorly marked by pandemics, and unfortunately it actually lacked a little bit of impact because of just the way we organized that, but it was I think the best we could do at that particular time. So just to show you, well, this is the last slide of some of the results. Of course, the results are really, there is a vast data collected, and this is just a very, very summarized and compacted results regarding the red muds. So 4 major landfills of red mud in the region, so 2 in Hungary, 1 in Montenegro, and 1 in Slovenia. So you see just the summarized data, and the left down diagram shows the biggest problem we faced, and also the other people doing this job are facing, and this is the large inhomogeneity of the rare earth element distribution in these landfills, so both lateral and vertical. And so actually this is the challenge for technology to be used, since it is very difficult to tune the right method to extract these valuable metals out of this material. So if you want to know a little bit more about the results, all is still available on the web page of the project. So all the annual reports and the booklet, which is a kind of summarizing the whole problematic, but also the data we collected, and the proposal of some technologies and life cycle assessment analysis we performed. So everything is there. So please, you're welcome to visit the page and download all the data. It is of course free to use. And just as a final word, we of course continued a little bit to work on these materials and this problematic regarding critical raw materials in red mud. So Reef Restore was another project we participated in, and it's still going till the end of this year. So Matea is in charge for that. And of course, this is closing now soon, but there are some, of course, new ideas, and we are going to participate in this call for the similar project about the industrial waste left over the mining activity for the extraction of critical metals of these materials. So thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Professor Tomasic. Thank you very much. And I'll give the word to Dr. Matea Košir from ZAK. Matea, please.
Thank you very much. As Nenad mentioned, activities on the red mud are, let's say, intensive in the region, and red mud is an important topic which really was addressed and was strongly addressed through the EIT RawMaterials project. So this was a, let's say, a boost to the, let's say, innovation capacity in the region. However, I will present a bit different project. Let's say we are still in the aluminium value chain. As I was addressed, I already also, I'm part of HUB Adria. Additional part of my activities is related to the projects on the higher tier levels. Let's say also transfer of knowledge and technology, and as well to the commercialization activities. And as I was saying, we are still in the aluminium value chain. An SPL cycle project, which I will briefly present you here, is a project touching the last part of the aluminium value chain, production of the primary aluminium and waste from the primary aluminium production. SPL cycle project is already completed project and was started in the year 2018 and was finalized in the previous year 2021. So where SPL is generated, I was mentioning it's a waste from the primary aluminium production, and primary aluminium production means electrolysis, and spent pot lining is the pot lining from the electrolysis cells. And just to put things into a perspective, 1 ton of aluminium is circa 20 kilograms of SPL. And if you put this in a broader context, how much of primary aluminium is produced per year? This means 1 million tons, more than 1 million tons of SPL per year. Why I'm highlighting this, and also the primary aluminium production through the transition to the e-mobility, lightweight alloys is expected to increase quite rapidly, meaning SPL amount will also increase. However, as you're all aware now, the energy crisis, there is, let's say, a decrease in the primary aluminium production just now, but this is just a step in probable estimation that it will move back again up. SPL, well, what I was not highlighting is the hazardous waste material. And hazardous waste material in a sense that it contains cyanides, at least around 1%, and fluoride salts. The current, let's say, mode of handling the waste is either incinerating, either putting into a landfill, either to a sea. So these are 3 options. None of them are good. Why? Because SPL contains, depending on, of course, the technology, which aluminium smelter has, from 20 to 50% of graphitized carbon. And this is a precious resource which should not be wasted and put into a landfill or incinerated. That's why the SPL cycle project was initiated. Here are our dear partners. And the solution was already proposed by our partners, Bistra from Ptuj, the technology, which was already on the commencement of the project at the tier level 5. So we upgraded it through the project to the tier level 7, and now we are at the tier level 8. So the technological principle is that we are treating the first and second cut SPL material. First cut is the graphitized oxide, the first layer in the electrolysis pot, the cathode basically. And the second cut is the alumosilicate fraction, which is the refractory layer, as the primary aluminium cell is around 980 degrees, meaning it's an insulation layer. And we milled that material separately to a fraction which was the most optimal for the treatment. And what we performed is detoxification to remove the cyanides and extraction of fluoride salts. What we are, let's say, coming at the end of our technology, what are our products? What's coming out of our technology is the liquid residue full of fluoride salts, which we mixed with the calcium hydroxide to get calcium fluoride. This is also a commodity required in the metallurgical industry. This is one of our markets. And the solid residue, we are having at the end the graphitized carbon, which could be also used in the metallurgical industry or elsewhere instead of, let's say, coke. And these are the products which are demanded currently, as the prices and also the supply chains are quite disturbed and going also high on the side of prices. As I was saying, this is the technological principle is patent pending. There is the initial patent on the basic technology, and also now we are applying for the patent on the upscale technology. What's also important, we build a pilot. Here I don't have a picture. You can check on our website. We have some pictures of the pilot. And from that pilot line, when we started processing, we also seek the input from final, let's say, users of the technology. These are primarily aluminium smelters, and additionally, the market of our products, which are coming out of the pilot. We applied an additional process modeling, thermodynamics, to, let's say, as SPL materials are very diverse, so non-recipe fits for all. We then applied this and optimized the process on a pilot plant. And the final products, we made several products, additionally also from the second cut, focused on the construction industry, meaning lightweight aggregates, supplementary cementitious, as a supplementary cementitious compound. And additionally, this is also published in some articles, so you can check as well. And we performed also the LCA model, the, let's say, go-to-market strategy, and developed the criteria for the scale-up based on the demands of the, let's say, our target market for our technology, meaning the primary aluminum smelters, and their surrounding industrial ecosystem, which would take our products. So this is the, let's say, one of the iterations of our design. At the end, from the pilot line through the, let's say, progress on the tier levels, it's something different what we initiated at the beginning. We are now progressing further towards the commercialization. It was hard in the COVID period, but we are aiming towards that SPL cycle technology would be implemented. So we are now having the closed industrial size plant design and discussing with the potential customers on the details. So visit our website, it's SPL Cycle, type it in Google. I haven't put it here because this is my final slide. And if you're interested, there are also our contact details if you have any additional questions. What I would also highlight that the progress to the higher tier levels, it's a challenge, but a really good challenge, which I hope a lot of, let's say, students, professionals, or more professionals from the raw materials industry will go forward on that path. So that's all from my side.
Thank you, Matea. I'm now inviting Professor Sibila Borojevic-Ostric to present, please.
Thank you, Meta. I will talk about a slightly different project. While we were connecting the dots in the region with all the potential and doing a lot of systematization through various projects, we also tackled one of the challenges which emerged from numerous discussions through the EC Education Working Group that was at that time led by Imre Gombkotko. And we initiated the idea, the pilot, and started to pilot the idea in the early stage through a university business cooperation, actually recognizing the lack of student competencies while graduated and starting to work in the industry. The feedback from the industrial partners were, well, they have too low practical experiences. And so we started actually to build the first Adria internship project as a part of these Adria HUB activities. And we tackled both students and organizations at the beginning only in Adria region. And we actually wanted to make the young graduates more employable. That was our first idea, to have a better competencies in the raw materials market, especially competing to the students coming from Western Europe, which has more advanced programs. I would say that our programs were at that time rather very classical. We also wanted to tackle the brain drain from the region and offering students better experiences already while they're on the study, and to improve the educational system, integrating the industry, connecting the industry with the universities, as a number of, you will see in the forthcoming slides, industrial partners joined the program. We also wanted to improve the social acceptances and change perception of the raw material sector that was at the level where you could not really see the benefits. The benefits were direct beneficiaries were students and the organizations. So back at that time in 2018, we just started with the hub Adria, and very early during the 2018, we were preparing for the business plan in 2019 and implemented the pilot Adria internship project, only led by our three partners as University of Zagreb Faculty of Mining, and then supported by GeoZS and ZAG. And for 2 years piloting, in 2021, we included also Italy, increasing the regional outreach, and then started with the preparation of the Cava Call as a, let's say, kind of more advanced, as a spin-off project out of this pilot with internship. So for the next 2 years, from 2022 till 2024, we will have a funding as a Cava project. So the Adria pilot was including Adria countries, so Albania, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Croatia, Kosovo, Montenegro, North Macedonia, Serbia, and Slovenia. And in 2021, we also included Italy in the program. And starting from 2022, we actually included all RIS countries in Europe, so the whole Southeastern and Eastern Europe, plus Ukraine, Turkey, Spain, and Portugal, so which is quite a number of countries, and around 10 partners from throughout the Europe participating, including 3 partners which are responsible for the EIT labeled programs. So from pilot program, Adria pilot program, we achieved more than 17 internships over 110 months, and actually included 40 organizations from the Adria region. And now what is expected for the RIS internship is to attract 300 companies, and actually more than 350 students for these 3 years, plus to include trainings and also employability of the interns in the companies where they were actually trained. The employability in the pilot project was around 10%, and this was not even something that we are thinking of. It will be as a consequence, as a positive outcome. So we set here 5% of the employability of the interns. What is the impact of this project to the RGNF, to the University of Zagreb? It's really huge, difficult to measure, as the companies that we are approaching toward as the internship providers actually are then searching for various other competencies from us, from trainings to different tasks, supporting them in their everyday job, including a number of ideas which are to be developed further in potential projects. So the collaboration between the partners and between the participating institutions is increasing, leading to new opportunities. When we go back in 2016, 17, where we just started, we had a number of collaboration agreements with the regional universities, companies, and research institutes, which were actually more on the paper than in the practice. In these number of years of participation in the EIT RawMaterials project, so we have been participating or are still participating in more than 20 EIT RawMaterials projects. and the number of partners that are currently in our network connected with the projects are more than 160 just for the Faculty of Mining, which is extreme amount of increase of cooperation and networking. So I would say that this was for us a fantastic opportunity to integrate the region much wider than the Adria region, and to actually connect with the industry, the universities and the research institutes in the region. You can check, our calls are open, so the industrial partners participating online or the students perhaps can check the webpage and apply for the internship. The program is ongoing. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Villa. I am now turning to our online panelists. So I'm inviting my colleague, Dr. Duška Rokavec from Geological Survey of Slovenia. Duška, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Do you hear me, dear friends?
Yes, Duška, now we can hear you perfectly.
Nice.
Please go on.
Nice. So first of all, I would like to say thank you for the invitation and nice regards to Dubrovnik from Geological Survey of Slovenia from Ljubljana. In few slides, next slides, I would like to represent the project reserve, which is, I suppose, well known to all of you, but still a short resume about the recent work. This was a 3-year project accomplished last year. Next slide, please. The consortium was consists of 14 partners from different European countries, and the most important was the support and cooperation and very well contribution of our partners from West Balkan National Geological Service and faculties from Albania, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Croatia, Montenegro, North Macedonia, and Serbia. And the main aim of the project was to gather the data on minerals, on primary and secondary minerals from this region, and link them, actually make them the part of Pan-European Mineral Intelligence Network, which is actually EGDI, so European Geological Data Infrastructure, where all the mineral data are inspire aligned. So it was a great job of three-year great job, and I suppose has a quite impressive impacts. And of course, I'm very glad, and I hope that we will continue our cooperation also in the other new projects. The next slide, please. So as I mentioned, the main aim and result of the project was West Balkan Mineral Register. You can see the address, web address. Sorry, may you return at least it, okay. So West Balkan Mineral Register consists now of almost of 500 primary mineral deposits, and also almost 1,500 of mining and metallurgic waste sites. So it's so-called secondary raw materials. And the main impacts was knowledge transfer to the National Geological Service and other institutes which are relevant for mineral resource management on the national level. Very important is also to make the West Balkan region more visible for potential investors, and to make this region part of the common European and global mineral market. But last but not least, also that we try to bring to raise also the building the knowledge of these partners from West Balkan region, also referring to their relevance related to national role of mineral reserves managers. The last slide here, sorry, obviously there are some technical issues referring to the screen, but nevertheless, here is the last slide, showing now the situation on the European map. So EGDI portal, it's a screenshot from EGDI portal, where all gathered data from West Balkan region, so primary and secondary deposits and mining waste sites are now designated and became a part of the common European mineral intelligence network. So it was the main goal, and it was reached, and we are very, very grateful to our partners. And as I said, we all hope for the continuation of this nice common project work. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Duška. We were supposed to have another panelist online, Professor Ivica Ristovic, but if I understand right, he's not yet here with us. So as he was really to join us from his business trip, maybe he would join us just a little bit later, and then we will give him a word. So for now, I would like to say thank you to all the panelists. And of course, I have a few questions for you, because you really presented the impact that has been done in the region. I think that really a large positive step on the field of raw materials under or in the framework of the EIT RawMaterials. Therefore, I would really like to hear also your opinion on how do you see the role of EIT RawMaterials mechanisms in the region. And if we previously started with Maren, I would like to now invite maybe Sibylla first for your comments. So how do you see the role of EIT materials mechanisms in the region, please?
Well, the variety of the funding mechanisms, variety of the projects is actually allowing us to fund the various ideas, especially here in the Southeastern Europe, which most of our countries are in the RES, in the Regional Innovation Scheme, which is a rather flexible mechanism which could fund capacity building projects which are heavily needed for the region from the point of entrepreneurship and innovation creation, where we cannot simply implement the mechanisms which are already at the level of the EIT RawMaterials accepted. We have to downgrade these programs to the very basic level, starting with the basic education of our participants, of our students, of our industrial partners, to actually transfer their ideas into or shape them to be able to participate in the allowed programs. And that is what I see as the major benefits of these Regional Innovation Scheme projects, where we can support this low-level capacity building and educational activities on top of our classical educational programs, providing for the community a really basic steps to catch up with the other partners and to be able to join the programs in the next years. And this is, I believe, a success story here in the region, as you showed at the beginning, the number of partners, the number of activities, the number of participants, the number of projects, everything is increasing. So we are in the learning curve. I would say this is the greatest advantage of the programs. Thank you.
Thank you. Matea, your opinion?
Thank you, Meta. I completely agree with Sibylla, and I would add that this is a long-term run. We are in this curve, but effort and, let's say, continuation of activities and continuation of activities which we conducted either in the frame of HUB Adria, meaning strengthening the network, connecting partners, making new connections, making, let's say, exchanging of project ideas, exchanging of, let's say, professionals' capacity and supporting each other. I think this is also one thing which we need to highlight as a consequence of EIT RawMaterials, let's say, activities and funded projects in the region. Additionally, there were some, let's say, capacity building projects which were conducted in the previous year. The really good case is RIBO, which, let's say, continued in the Restore covering topic of the red mat in the region. This is one of also very good examples. And what, as the region is very diverse, it's also needed to enhance, to start with the students through the internship program, for example, which increase their capacity to be on the work, the skilled workforce which is needed for the region, as brain drain is a crucial, let's say, bottleneck and an issue. And what skills particularly are missing that more innovations would be implemented in the region is which we also, through our, let's say, path in the recent years, involvement in the EIT RawMaterials project, is the consistency of, let's say, knowledge on innovation management. And this is missing also widely in Europe, but I think here it's also a point where we need to do much more work. And also I think it's a point where EIT RawMaterials needs to focus a bit more now.
Thank you, Matea. Nenad, please.
Yes, I would like just to add about these mechanisms. What it seems to be now the situation, it's much easier now and better to find potential partners to propose certain projects, because this pool of partners and stakeholders is really growing fast now. At the beginning, it was a little bit maybe difficult, but now after 5 years, it seems to me it is really great now, the situation. And the second point I would like to maybe give an emphasis here, it is a great stuff that there is a vast opportunity for many workshops and students to participate in. And that is actually a way maybe to improve our study programs now, because students have now more opportunity to hear maybe the topics which are more in the, let's say, balance and more in the accordance with the current development in science, but also technology and industrial improvements. And I think it also makes us maybe to be more active in adapting our current programs to improve them, and also to give our students better opportunity for future employment. This is really great stuff. I think that's occurring for a moment with these EIT RawMaterials programs.
Thank you very much. Parents, please.
Thank you. A bit continuing what Sibylla started, that there are many different projects for education, for upscaling, for wider society learning, and so on. And but we who are involved in these projects can feel easily that the working contacts, practically day-by-day working contacts, are going on within the region with these partners, which was not really the case before. So it was a very good forum for this cooperation. And when we were compiling in the previous year this TeamRex program, well, it was not easy to put all together, but there were already some Lego blocks or puzzle blocks which we know that, okay, so this works, and it will be a good tool to use it for a certain target within that program. For example, this is how I mentioned also that there is internship as an opportunity for this coming TeamRex students to participate in an internship activity within this region on an international level. Also from another project, from another story, the social and civic type of internship or specific education block. It also was coming from another that type of program. Also from upscaling projects, the partners who are working on high level innovations and technology developments, they were really happy to join this program, because they also see that that would be a good opportunity to implement this kind of knowledge, not only for the research but also for the education. So this is really a very useful this ecosystem, let's say. Thank you.
Thank you, Ferenc, very much. Duška, would you like to add something?
No, thank you. Nothing to add from my side. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you. You really elaborated greatly on this. Matej already mentioned some bottlenecks, and also in the presentation of the legacy, some bottlenecks were presented. So where exactly do you see the bottlenecks for project implementation in the region? Maybe if we just have the same round. So Sibylla, please.
Well, for me, it was a discovery last month during Funding Synergy Forum to learn that EBRD is investing more than 40% of the total funds to raw materials related projects. For me, it was a discovery and a fantastic opportunity actually to scale up the projects which are in some TRL level where they need a funding which is exceeding the funding of the EIT RawMaterials. And the mechanisms that the EBRD was showing at their examples was actually quite applicable, entering into the structure of the companies as a stakeholder of the company. And that was for me the discovery, as we were always discussing how to actually bring the funding to the projects which are showing great results at the lower TRL level, exiting the RES projects with TRLs 3 or 4 with some kind of pre-feasibility studies, and then they need a lot of funding. For me, as I see, this is the major step that we have to learn how to integrate other funds to bring the value to the projects which are in some phases of competition at some TRL levels, and they are very well, they need to consume a lot of funds. The mechanism that is now in place, and we still have not used it, is ERMA, which we had also a basic idea on how it should work. And I believe that EBRD and ERMA, once they really start to work synergetically, when we discover the pathways, will actually improve creation of jobs, creation of new values, because we created a lot of value. Until now, we created a lot of knowledge. We created a lot of, we created a lot of a huge network, as all of us agree on this. But now out of this, the next step is to create value for the society, for the community. And that is that we have to learn how to use these funds which are on top of the EIT RawMaterials.
Thank you, Sibylla. Mateja?
I will just say that perfectly said, Sibylla. I will just add a bit more. Just the funds which are available and the mechanisms which are in place. This really funding synergy forum was an eye-opener, in a sense that there are many opportunities, but sometimes even investors who are, let's say, well educated, they cannot see where the opportunity is standing. So therefore, it's really necessary to either regionally or on a level of certain country have, let's say, all mechanisms on a certain tier clearly explained. And it's a complex, let's say, situation, but so far, currently, this is non-existing. So mechanisms are a bit excluding itself sometimes, also on a national level. So this is an effort, and I think we delivered the message to the policymakers to improve themselves on that way. I would have to say that in Slovenia, they are doing these steps, and we really hope that it will be continued to either unify all tier levels, funding management on one, let's say, roof, and also provide a really straightforward information for the investors, which either investors on one side and the ones who are having an innovation, how to get and acquire funding. And additional bottlenecks, which are in the region, which I also see as the capacity of people, and also the one was mentioned already, the brain drain. Highly educated people needs to be, let's say, brought back into the region. So mechanisms should be in place that they are coming back, that they are doing innovations in the region, implementing innovations in the region. There is full of potential, but we really, the base of highly skilled people from the region is all around the world. And it's really, there are efforts from some groups in the region to gather back this. But this should be also, again, put on a national level into mechanisms to bring these people. Because without people, you cannot do anything.
Thank you, Mateja. I've just learned that Professor Ristovic has joined us. So I suggest that maybe we finish this round of questions dealing with bottlenecks for the project implementation, and also as you started to speak on the funding synergies, because this is really an important issue. And then after this round, we give the word to Professor Ristovic. So, Ferenc, please.
Okay, thank you. Two things to add. Totally agree with what was done. One is that if we, at least for the Hungarian raw materials sector, there are small or SMEs, let's say, and also there are large companies, but the large companies are usually some daughters of some Western companies, and For the the innovations and some things in this matter may be expected mostly from the national or from the local SMEs. But as Duška has mentioned, there are some these bottlenecks and some governmental support, which whether exists, or perhaps in different countries, these are exist on different intensity. It would also be highly important, additionally to those sources which was mentioned by Sibila.
Thank you. Nenad, would you like to add something?
I would just maybe add to that what already Matea and now Ferenc mentioned. What it seems to me sometimes that our projects maybe, and we would like probably for our projects to be more upscaling than maybe just, of course, educational still have to be there, and this regional innovation scheme is still all right. But it sometimes seems that we are really, in some cases, in some particular problematics and topics, we are lacking this when we are talking about this TRL. Then we are lacking a few steps, maybe sometimes just one or two, when we want to make this addition of value. And of course, it sometimes has to deal with maybe some industrial decline, maybe a few decades. We're missing some branches we maybe had, let's say, back in the last century, and of course some, because it just happened like this due to development and some events that occurred, that we are missing some branches. And now when we would like to add something in the processing, in some new ideas, innovation, we lack maybe certain stakeholders which would give us this additional value to the projects and bring our innovation and these technological levels to the higher, let's say, general level. But of course, I think this is something probably that could not be done overnight, just in region. And maybe this is just the way we are making these projects, and step by step, maybe we will be more able in few years to have more upscaling projects than we are able now. So maybe we just need more steps to do more projects. And I see now we are having some more upscaling projects, but maybe in the future, maybe in a few years, it will be better after we have another round or two of these projects we are having now.
Thank you very much. Now I would like to really welcome Professor Ivica Ristovic from University of Belgrade, and would just for a couple of minutes interrupt our discussion and give the word to Ivica to present himself, of course, and let's say his good experience how to become EIT RawMaterials partner, starting with task partner and cooperation in the region. Ivica, if you can hear us, the floor is yours. Maybe.
Sorry for late. I have a very, very terrible traffic in Macedonia. I show you my presentation, and again, I'm very sorry for late. Do you hear?
Yes, we can hear you perfectly. Just go on, and we can see your presentation, but still in presenter's mode. Yeah, now it's perfect.
Okay. Okay, I'm Professor Ivica Ristovic from University of Belgrade, Faculty of Mining and Geology, Belgrade, and I show you one presentation of our steps from the partners in. I'm sorry, I have problem with rooms. Wait a minute, please. This is our first step in EIT RawMaterial project, and we start with project reserve. Project duration of this reserve project was from April 2018 to March 2021, and main theme was the mineral potential of Southeast Europe region. The leader partner of this project was Geological Survey of Slovenia. This reserve project maps the primary and secondary mineral source of Western Balkan, and it was in Albania, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Croatia, North Macedonia, Montenegro, and Serbia. We have two parts of this project, and first part is maps of primary raw materials. It was 473 primary sites described with 27 attributes are included in the mineral register. Among these, there are 248 metal sites and 225 sites of industrial minerals and construction materials. In the second part of this project, we have maps of secondary raw materials, and we have three phases. In the first phase, data were collected on 123 sites. During the second phase, 52 secondary raw material samples were collected, and in the final phase, data was collected from 1,650 sites. When I can say in this project, we was in mapping in mining waste landfills in 1,540 location. It was 55% of secondary raw materials. Second was processing waste landfills in 66 location with 36% of all secondary raw materials, and metallurgical slag and landfills was 44 with 9% of area of location of secondary raw materials. After that, we start with NISCURE project, founding with EIT RawMaterials, and project starting 1st January 2019 to 31 December 2021. We was task partner 2, University of Belgrade, and main theme was exploitation of raw materials resource assessment. The lead partner was Slovenian National Building and Civil Engineer Institute. In this project, University from Belgrade was drilled a total of 103 meters hole. We packing and disposing of drilling core in the box provided for that purpose with marking them. About 100 samples we packing in about 100 bags, weighing about 2.5 kilogram, which totals about 250 kilograms of materials. All samples were packed in a box that was sent to Finland. 5 kilograms of these samples were packed as a representative sample and sent to Ecolive company in Slovakia, and about 3 kilograms was sent to Macedonia for mineral analysis. And now, third project for our institution is Project RECO2 MAG. He started in the 1st January this year, and he was finished in 31 December of 2024. In this project, we are finally partner. University of Belgrade is a partner, and my theme is green boundary engineering neodymium permanent magnets. We haven't a lot of data now for this project, but in the end of the year, we was prepared a lot of a lot of results, and I will present this project in the end of this year. The plan is to finish this project on the end of 2024 years. Thank you for your attention. This is my 5 minutes. And now we can start the discussion.
Thank you very much. I think we can now really continue with the discussion. Just maybe to summarize, we have already, let's say, highlight the benefit of the region from EIT RawMaterials mechanisms. We also said a few words about bottlenecks, mostly on the bottlenecks with synergetic funding of the project, which is really very important, but we recognize that we are actually not aware of all the possibilities, and also the mechanisms have to be aligned in a way if we want to make, let's say, some benefit from the synergetical funding. As you are all really very much involved in the projects, and as we have here the representatives of research institutions as well as representatives of universities, I would like to ask the representatives of the research institutions, which are Mateja and Duška. When you work with young people that come from, let's say, the faculty, do you feel that some skills that they would need are still missing? Mateja, please.
Yes. Yes, I would directly say that what skills are missing. In our case, for example, for the Slovenian National Building and Civil Engineering Institute, we deal a lot at the Department of Materials, where I come from, with the work in the laboratory, and skills, let's say, of students, geology, also metallurgy, on the laboratory are poor. I would be honest here. Usually we conduct internships with them. We let's say put a lot of effort and our time to train them in laboratory work, basic principles, and that's first bottleneck, which was already set and addressed, what needs to be addressed, and it's addressed through the RC internship project. So meaning the students get as much as practical skills, because during the let's say their student programs, there is probably no time to put more practical work, and that's why it's really important that they have at the end, either in at the end of their master thesis, conducting the laboratory work. So this is sense from a practical, let's say, skills direct. On the other hand, what is missing is the entrepreneurial spirit from the students. And this, I think we identified this. It was identified so by the EIT RawMaterials very early on, and this initiative-based and also EIT labeled programs they implement this in their curriculums, and I think that there now is a task to be implemented more also at the curriculums of the, let's say, more faculties which are dealing with the technology, the entrepreneurial elements, because now they are lacking. I would say also from my perspective, we had zero entrepreneurial elements in our course. I learned on the path also, I would say, through thanks to the EIT RawMaterials here. That's basically it. Yeah.
Thank you. Duška, maybe you would like to elaborate on this? What skills?
Yes, thank you, Meta.
Yes.
No, as me as a representative of the senior generation, my observation is perhaps that young generation coming from faculties, they are much too individuals. There is a lack of team spirit and the will for a common work. And So perhaps that is one point, one issue, and the other, that on curriculum at the university there is a lack of giving a broader view to those young people of what are the opportunities of financing and how to apply to different financial instruments, programs, and how to apply projects with their own ideas, expert ideas. So that's my point of view. Thanks.
Thank you, Duška. Luckily, we have a lot of representatives of universities from Zagreb, from Miskolc, and from Belgrade here. So I'm pretty sure that you are aware of some lacks in the skills of your graduates, and I'm pretty sure that you do tackle this. So I'm really interested in how do you tackle this lack of skills in the students. So maybe we start with Bila and University of Zagreb, and then.
Thank you. Back in 2017, I think, Faculty of Mining started implementing the first program, which was funded by the cohesional funds, and the result was supposed to be the new study programs in undergraduate and graduate level in mining and geology, in petroleum engineering. And the team that was working on this was anticipating correctly that there's going to be a strong resistance within the faculty toward the changes, and basically the argument of the opponents was, what is wrong with the study programs? They are very classical, very basic courses which are there, they are supposed to be there, etc. And that's why the team very cleverly started with the very broad questionnaire addressing industrial partners within Croatia, yes, asking them a lot of questions: what is missing, what is not missing, what is their view of the students coming directly from the graduates coming from the university, starting working, and then they presented the results to the faculty council. And the results were very simple. Nothing wrong with the classical education. They have sufficient scientific and technological knowledge, but none of this is practically applicable. So we have to learn them and spend the year in learning them how they are supposed to do their work. And that was a solid argument for the changes of the educational programs. So we are aware that our programs are classical, that they are lacking educational entrepreneurial skills. But also we are aware that our professors are of different generations, and even these educations which we were running within the university, and we started with the trainees pilot program implementing at the University of Zagreb, and then upscaling it to the trainees implementing at other RC universities, which were a train-the-trainer programs. They were addressed to the younger academic staff. So the changes are coming, but too slowly, I would say, especially as the market is changing, the employment market is changing, the new technologies are coming, and I don't believe that universities can keep track with the changes. They should not even, it's not possible, but we should have a solid programs with a solid amount of entrepreneurship innovation, and on top of them, lifelong learning courses like DIMISI, which I think is a very good example of addition to the classical education programs within the region. Even Zagreb is difficult to change. And if you go to Bosnia, it's even more resistance and so on. But if we add this lifelong learning, solid, good specific courses, then we will bring the knowledge to the region. So I would say that this is the answer.
Thank you. Ninad, would you add something?
Yes, for sure. I'm glad really you mentioned that, and I could really confirm that what Matea also said. We are recently really becoming more and more aware of this, let's say, lackings of our system of education, and really the feedback we've got from our students and also from the partners we are now having for the traineeship of our students, that really they are missing some practical skills when they come to laboratory, I don't know, somewhere in the industry or in some other research organizations. But also there are some maybe problems also what Duška said, working in team. And I now recall maybe it was now 10 or 15 years ago when we got, I think it was from the European Federation of Geologists, they had, I think, a series of meetings with staff from universities, research institutions, where they tried to list, let's say, knowledges and skills that should, let's say, be listed in the outcomes of the educational programs in geology for undergraduate, graduate, and PhD students. And really, as I recall, there was something like skills of a presentation of project writing or working in team or practical skills, and a lot of that. And really, we included something of that in our, let's say, study programs. But when it comes to the, let's say, realization of these real skills, I see that this is really what we are lacking still. So it's really good that we are talking about that. And I think we are going soon in our, let's say, rescheduling a little bit of our study programs. And I hope we are going to at least put something of this stuff into these new programs, because it is something that we are needed. So about more practical skills, about the organization skills, about writing projects, and about this and entrepreneurship, and about risk assessment when you work in something like this. I hope something will find place at least.
Thank you. And from University of Miskolc, Ferenc.
Well, okay, thank you. So, as it was already mentioned that we are working in this year already on this TEAMREX program, and the label application, it was submitted in early July. So for me, as the consortium, as the project coordinator, at least the last half year was the major, one of the major questions in the last half year for me. It was just this one, that what are the missing competencies, and what are these lacks, and how to solve it within the frame of this TEAMREX curriculum and education program. And one thing what I would like to mention, that there is a Horizon 2020 project. This is called Intermin, which it has been closed. I think it was finished last year. And the major issue for this project, it was to map the competence gaps and to make a qualification framework for the raw materials sector based on the inputs and reflections from the industry. So this is a collection of these questions and issues, what I really recommend for everybody. And from their homepage, these materials are directly accessible. And we in the preparation of the label application, we used quite intensively and these lists. And within the one of the work packages, our colleague from the La Palma Research Institute, he made a list of 170 something long list of competencies and learning outcomes which are expected for this for the students in the mineral exploration topic, especially, and just we are working on these questions and how to answer them within the project. On the other hand, what was not mentioned in this among these questions, and I'm really happy to hear it, what was mentioned by Matea, that there is a need from the students to work in the laboratories, and that was also an important. I'm really glad to hear it, and we also should include it this group of questions in the list. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And we move to Ivica. How is University of Belgrade, let's say, dealing with or tackling the issues of gap in the students' skills?
Okay, the problems is very, very closely, but the big problems are with practical teaching in Serbia, especially in mining and geology, because if we exclude laboratories, work in the fields is simply impossible due to great needs for safety of work. You know, a lot of and large number of private company do not allow access to large group, and for his reason, student remain handicapped for improving their skills that they have acquired through theoretical teaching. On the other hand, in anti-meeting and in meeting for anti-mining and anti-geology movement was created in Serbia, especially for a reason of Rio Tinto mining in Serbia, and so that interest in these areas has declined a lot. And the small number of projects that we have also affects the reduction of opportunities for improving students' skills. I think that these are the main shortcoming of our students' studies, but in addition, we have many other objective and subjective problems, especially in Serbia. You know, it is the war.
Thank you, Vica.
Thank you.
I have two last questions. Actually, one is regards the innovation project. So I'm addressing it firstly to Matea. The EIT mechanisms to support innovation progress on the TRL levels and project commercialization aspects. How do you see this?
Yeah, EIT has quite a clear view on, let's say, an agenda and intention to support the upscaling projects, and also that capacity building projects are progressing towards upscaling projects. As was mentioned today, the path is not easy, and what at least in this, like, let's say, the situation in the region is that lacking of capacity of people, and additionally lacking of, let's say, appropriate funding schemes. These are the three obstacles we mentioned today, and Ivica just mentioned now the social license to operate for the, let's say, larger projects in the region. Funding synergies, this is again the repeated issue. But just this is for the large projects. If you're going a bit back, there is a lot of research conducted on the universities, on the research institutions, which could be and should be transferred to the industry here. Through the, let's say, EIT raw materials activities, which were conducted in the, let's say, recent years, from 2018 further on more intensively. network was created, more, let's say, connections among academia, industry, research, also more exchange of information. What I'm addressing here is a lot of innovations are created again in the research sector. Sometimes these innovations are not, let's say, validated by the industry, relevant industry. So they are not progressing on the path which could be interested for the industry. And to reach higher TRL levels, it's also important to look at the lower TRL levels and start at the lower tier levels with including, let's say, industrial partners and their input information very early on. So network is very important. Also tackling their problematics and supporting their position, industrial position. That's then the second, solving their issues directly on some, let's say, research projects. But further, yeah, on that innovations which are progressing, for example, on TRL 3 and further on, which is usually TRL 3 is the level most research projects. And moving to up to TRL 5, it's already a challenge. So, and if you do not include the industrial partner previously in the lower TRL levels, then you're coming with the TRL 3 to the industrial partner. He will ask you, but why you did this like that? And also again, addressing the entrepreneurial context. Entrepreneurial context, let's say capacity of the researchers is low, meaning they also don't evaluate, let's say, the market needs. They don't, this is also, let's say, broad for some researchers, but at the institution, there should be a person who has that capacities. So putting all the circle together, if you are doing this right, you are doing this right with the industrial partner, this will go very smoothly. And then, of course, you will tackle with the funding synergy and the progress. But if industry has interest, it will progress very fastly. If industry has no interest, you will stop at a certain TRL level. So I would say cooperation at the lower TRL levels, that's the most important.
Thank you, Mateja. Would any of the panelists like to add something? No? Online panelists? No? So we can proceed to at least my last question and then also ask the audience for some questions. But I would like to address my last question to the finished projects. I think all of you have some projects, EIT RawMaterials projects that are already finished. And I'm really interested in what is the project status after completion. So are there any possibilities for post-kick funding? And how is it with the sustainability of the project results? And this round, I would maybe start with our online panelists. So I would like to give the word to Duška. Duška, please.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Meta. Thank you all, to all. Yeah, referring to this question, I would like to say that I agree that sustainability of the project is only in the case when project results are later on used and being further developed. Otherwise, it's something that is stuck and it's not useful for the operation. So if I take the example of my recent work on a reserve project, here in the register of West Balkan minerals, there is a huge number, a huge set of interesting data regarding minerals in the region, but it should be I don't know, it should be that those materials, those data sets, now that we know what deposits are promising, it would be the only reasonable thing to develop, to explore, to focus on some, at least some of them, with primary research, discoveries, and geological research as such. And here the KIC instrument, I suppose, KIC raw material, I don't think that, I think that in spite of getting this lighthouse, so-called discovery lighthouse, there are no supports of discoveries and primary geological research, and therefore no support for getting new data and better knowledge of geological settings referring to mineral deposits. And that is, I suppose, the gap or lack of something in the chain of circular economy, because the first stage of circular economy is exploring, discovering, and this stage is now over, so jumped. So raw material KIC is supporting actually the projects from feasibility study on. That's it. That's my opinion, and not only opinion, but observation on the floor of KIC activities. And if I may return back to the second question about bottlenecks for project implementation in the region, let me say let me share my opinion that the lack of National Geological Service from the region is a clear sign that there are some obstacles, some gaps or something, because the membership KIC EIT raw material should include this National Geological Service dealing with raw material as primary basis. So that's for sure. So nowadays the lack of National Geological Survey from the region is a clear sign of there is still a room to adapt this KIC instrument and also their requirements to apply to the project. Thank you.
Thank you, Duška, very much for this very clear observation and opinion, which I think we should all really take into account. Ivica, would you like to add something on the status after the project finishes and it's...
Yes, of course. We have a 2-3 project, and after the completion of this project, mapping of potential secondary raw materials deposit was done. The RECOMAG 2 project will round up the base of secondary raw materials that can be exploited. But a large number of experiments around the world, especially around Europe, were carried out in order to extract useful elements, but mostly of these experiments was done in laboratory conditions. The results are varied and promising. However, the continuation and sustainability of this project is only possible if the laboratory research on the extraction of useful elements or critical elements are transferred to semi-industrial plants. Without trials in semi-industrial plants and finding the right extraction technology. The results of previous project, such be mapping and making, was one new paper just in the paper. We must transfer this data and this information to the semi-industrial plants. This is my really opinion.
Thank you very much, Ivica.
Thank you.
Parents, please.
Okay, so on one side, I am a bit in a specific situation because I was coordinating an education program before, and now the legacy program. So from the Mobius, the legacy program, the TeamRex is also an education program, and from that from this specialty, we have sources, financial resources from some other EU funds. First of all, from the Erasmus, to continue the previous project, and well, it works, well, we were suffering quite a lot, and probably not only we, but everybody was suffering during the 2 years of this COVID period with these projects, and especially it was quite difficult for the education programs, where especially when you are imagining that the student mobility will be increased. Under these conditions, it was well, we have turned to the virtual mobility, which was more or less quite interesting and good experience. And there is also an opportunity from the Erasmus side that they were starting a specific so-called this blended intensive program, which is partly a virtual mobility combined with some actual student mobility, which was quite well used during this year. Already, another result and benefit from this previous cooperation and the previous project, to have this network, and again, because of the COVID, some international challenges have been appeared in the world, and we could use these networks to join students from different universities to make a joint virtual group for these kind of challenges, and that is what many times today was already mentioned, how to make some new teaching methodologies with more active teaching compared to the classical way of teaching. This is, for example, one of this method, which is very useful for this kind of active learning method for the students, and it is also one of the legacy from the previous this program. Thank you.
Thank you, Matea. You can continue with you, please.
Okay. Can you repeat the question, please?
The question was on the finished project.
Okay.
Yeah. The post-kick funding and also the sustainability of the project's results.
Thank you. Apologies. So, as I'm representing here the upscaling project, we already, the, let's say, continuation post-project funding, we are going forward with the commercialization. This is also our obligation towards EIT RawMaterials on the scheme of upscaling project funding. And as I'm also involved in some capacity building projects, as it was mentioned before, very nice from Ivica, that everything works in a laboratory, but then the transition to, let's say, semi-industrial size pilot plant, that's a tough thing and it's missing. And here I will repeat again that a skilled personnel is needed, skilled with, let's say, a sense of also having the entrepreneurial elements, business view, including as well involvement of the industry at the early stage, repeating again. And let's say courage. That's the thing which is missing. And maybe we are a more, especially maybe this region, we are not, let's say, on the courageous and the entrepreneurial path. And I think this is a personnel with these skills is missed. With these skills should be brought back. They are from the region outside. So that's what's a path towards the post project on innovation.
Thank you, Matea. Nina?
Well, the continuation of the already finished projects, maybe I would say from my experience, it is done on several grounds. We have one side which is purely scientific, and it continues on maybe a lower scale with students still doing the master thesis, and also we do some research with the data we already collected during the EIT projects. And of course, we are just continuing the research as our standard scientific activity. On the other hand, of course, the continuation of these completed projects could be done through the transfer of at least part of idea to some new projects, as for instance, which is done with this Restore project. So of course, the previous project still lives in certain forms, but of course, it's up to us, as Matea already pointed out, how much we will put our energy into the new ideas to develop from the previous ideas and how to continue something in the development for the future. So it's up to us, of course.
Thank you. And Sibila, your opinion?
Well, I would separate the closed projects in two groups. One is the capacity building projects, and that's we as universities were conducting, and we actually know what we are doing in these projects. I would say that this is a big difference. We had a successful pilot, we upscaled the pilot, we implemented the second stage, we had the implementation of the acceleration programs already for the duration of the project, and we will measure, and we can measure the post-project impacts for minimum 3 years. So we knew from the beginning what we are doing here, how to conduct the programs, what is missing. We scanned, we did a lot of questionnaires, we prepared the programs, implementation, acceleration, so the learning curve, and then the self-sustainability after the projects. This is clear. But when we come to the acceleration programs, and we can separate our RAS projects into capacity buildings and acceleration, as it was previously, actually a kind of upscaling integrated in RIS. This is a different ground. And I would then go back to what Duška said at the beginning. Here, we really need the support. So if we are running a project focused on critical raw materials in Bosnia, and we do a validation of 126 deposits, and out of this, we separated 14 investment cases. This is really a result. And then on top of everything that we did, we integrated foreign investment agencies in Bosnia because we thought this is the clear path and we should advertise and we should integrate them, and we should prepare the brochures. And so we did all this, and then the project ends. So the results are there. Somebody should pick up on these results and continue, but who is supposed to do this? Is the University of Zagreb the right partner to upscale the business cases in Bosnia? Are the partners in Bosnia the right partners to upscale the business cases in Bosnia, which needs millions to invest? And there is no clear pathway in this country, and there is no support from the cohesion funds. They are not partners. This is a real problem. So the funding is invested, the value is created, as Duška said, And now who is supposed to pick up on this? As Nenad said, we are continuing our activities in some level, but not really going up. Not really going up. We are here at this level where we know what we are doing, but not really upscaling it. And that's really for us as a partners a problem. And then going back to what Matea said, the competencies in the region are missing. So now the competencies of our partners in Bosnia and the funding available is both missing. And that's why we don't see the clear upscaling pathway.
Thank you very much to all of you. I see that still a lot of work needs to be done. We are a bit ahead of our schedule, but I believe that we do still have some time for our participants, either online, but maybe firstly here in the hall. If you have any questions for our panelists, please. And if you are participating online, please just raise your hand in the Zoom and you will be given the word. And when speaking, I would just like to ask you to introduce yourself and tell us where you're coming from, because we cannot see you. We cannot see you. But first, are there any questions here in the audience for our panelists? No? Maybe we can discuss later on with the networking. Do we have any questions from our participants online? No, I see no. So I would really like to thank you all very much. First to our panelists here in Dubrovnik and online. I would like to thank the audience to be with us. And I sincerely hope that we will see at the event similar to this one next year within the new hub activities. But for that, we have to first prepare the application. So we need to run to go on doing this. So thank you really very much to all of you, and hope to see you soon in person somewhere. Goodbye.